What's up, everyone in the PR Fitness League? What's up, everyone who's not in the league that's in here? Couple things I want to go over before I get this talk started. So, congrats, shout out to a couple people. Number one, shout out to Becky. She's getting started in one-on-one training next week. She's flying back from Hawaii, I believe, currently, or she might even be here. It's snowing here, so congrats to her. And then shout out Heather, who just joined the PR Fitness League today. She'll get ready and rolling here this week. And then the main shout out to Hannah Loren, which I called last week, about 10 days ago. I told you guys, Hannah's all but got this season locked up. She was dialed in. She won season 4 of the PR Fitness League. She won $250 in her pocket. She thought that she was a nurse, but she's actually a professional athlete now that she's getting paid to work out, eat correctly for her goals, and just basically track this stuff and score points. And guess what? You do that consistently for a month, you score points, $250. Easiest $250 she has ever made in her life. Guarantee it. Okay, so shout out Hannah. She's been top 3 the past couple seasons, and then she won season 4, so congrats to her. I'll touch on this later, but you can join whenever. Heather joined today. So the month of December, we're giving out money every single week. Okay, so every single Sunday, well, you have Monday through Sunday to score points, and then at the end of every week, there'll be a winner. So we're giving away money every single week throughout December, and then season 5 is going to start January 6th. But don't wait, join this month, and let's get it rolling. Okay, let's get into this talk. You are not above the laws of fitness. I wanted to have this talk because there's a couple laws of fitness that literally apply to everybody. Yet for some reason, a lot of us think that we're opted out of these laws. Oh, this is a fitness law, but it doesn't apply to me. Okay, I'm different. My body's different. No. All of these laws apply to everyone. Okay, so let me go through them, and do not psych yourself out or think you are above the law, because you are not above these fitness laws. All right, I got 4 laws I'm going to go over. Let's dive into law number 1. Okay, law number 1 is the law of calorie deficit. Law number 1 is the law of calorie deficit. The fitness law of calorie deficit states, if you burn more calories than you consume, you will lose weight. Okay, you're going to lose that weight via fat loss or muscle loss or a combination of the two. But the law of calorie deficit means if you are burning more calories than you are consuming on a consistent daily basis, it's not a question of if, you will lose weight. This is the most common one that people think they're above the law on, and I think you don't totally understand what you're talking about, or you've learned something incorrectly. Okay, because no one is above this law. This law applies to literally every single human being on earth. Okay, common misconceptions are here. Ricky, I've eaten in a calorie deficit before and it didn't work. I ate in a calorie deficit and I didn't lose any weight. Okay. So let's zoom out a little bit. Do you think you're the only person on earth that the rules apply differently to, in that you can eat in a calorie deficit and not lose weight? Okay? You think you're the only person on earth that somehow the law is reversed and it's the opposite for you? Or is the more likely scenario is that you weren't actually in a calorie deficit? You're either not trying, you're not being consistent with it, not actually taking it serious, or maybe you were taking it serious, but you were incorrectly tracking your calories and macros, okay? So you're either the one person on earth that it does not apply to, which is not true, okay? So if you're thinking like that, get that out of your mind right now. You are not any different than anyone else, okay? So if you've done it before, it just means you did something either incorrectly or you weren't taking it very serious, and you didn't get yourself in a calorie deficit. Because if you got yourself in a calorie deficit, I promise you, you will lose weight. Okay? You are not above the calorie deficit law. No one is above the calorie deficit law. Okay? Another one is, Ricky, if I don't eat enough, if I eat in a calorie deficit and I don't eat enough, my body is going to start saving fat and I will not lose weight, or even sometimes I'll start gaining weight when I'm not eating enough. Okay? This thing just drives me crazy. Like, this could not be further from the truth. This is an absolute lie. Okay, I don't know whoever told you this. This is a common misconception. I've heard this over the years, and when I didn't actually know what I was talking about, it would kind of confuse me. But I promise you, this is not true. This is a myth. This is a lie. Whoever's telling you, oh, if you eat in a calorie deficit, your body starts not losing weight and you stay stagnant or you even start gaining weight. That could not be further from the truth, okay? So it's just simply a lie. And here's a thought experiment for you. I want you to think about this. If the next time you get on an airplane, you crash in the Andes Mountains and you're stuck for 90 days with no food, like the people, if you guys seen that Netflix documentary about this actually happened, the Society of the Snow. So if you crash in the Andes Mountains and you didn't have food for 90 days, what would happen? I'll tell you what would happen. You'd starve to death and you'd end up dying, okay? You are not going to be the only person on that airplane that crashes in the Andes Mountains and gets in a calorie deficit because you have no food. And your body just says, oh, I'm not losing weight anymore. Well, I'm actually going to gain weight because I'm eating so little that my body's just going to tell me I'm not going to lose any more weight. Okay, that's obviously a very extreme example, but that's just how it works. Okay, you want to know what happens when you don't consume calories? You start losing weight, you start burning through all your fat stores, you start burning through all your muscle stores, and if you don't eat, you will continue to burn through all those stores until you shrivel up and end up dying. Okay? That's how it works. So this thought in my head where, oh, hey, I can't get myself in a calorie deficit because it's bad for me and like I won't lose weight because my body will start saying, oh, you're not eating enough, so we're going to hold on to weight. That's just a myth. It's a cop-out. Somebody learned something wrong along the way and then started spreading this misinformation. It is not true. You get yourself in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. You are not above the law. Okay? One more thing I want to touch on with that is I see this a lot on Instagram, okay? And this is taken out of context. Usually I see it with females, but they're telling the truth, but they're not telling the whole truth. So a common example I see is they show a client who's overweight and they say, Jenny was eating in a calorie deficit and was eating 1,200 calories a day and couldn't lose weight. And then I bumped her calories up to 1,600 calories a day and she started losing weight. So being too much in a calorie deficit is detrimental and will cause you not to lose weight. Okay, what did I just explain to you guys? That person was not eating 1,200 calories a day. If they're eating 1,200 calories a day, they would be losing weight very, very fast. Okay, so that's not what actually happened. What actually happened is they were trying to eat 1,200 calories a day, probably wasn't realistic, ended up eating way over 1,200 calories a day, and then hit maintenance calories and did not lose weight. Okay, that's what happened. It wasn't, oh, they ate so little that they didn't lose weight. Okay, that's not a thing. Okay, so understand that in those scenarios, that person probably was trying to be way too far in a calorie deficit, wasn't realistic, ended up eating way over that, and then ended up getting out of a calorie deficit and did not lose weight. So they weren't not losing weight because they're in a calorie deficit. They were not losing weight because they weren't in a calorie deficit. And then 1,600 calories got them in a calorie deficit. Okay, I hope you could keep up with that math and everything, but that's another thing I see all the time of so-and-so's eating very little and they weren't losing weight. No, they weren't. They weren't actually eating very little. If they were eating that low of calories, they would be losing weight. Okay? So the last thing I want to touch on with law number 1 is fitness. Fitness is very simple, guys. It's very simple. There's 3 outcomes to when you eat. There is, if you eat in a calorie deficit correctly and consistently, you will lose weight. That's one outcome. Second outcome is if you eat in a calorie maintenance, meaning the same amount of calories as you consume or as you burn every day, you're going to maintain the same weight. That's the second outcome. And the third outcome is if you eat more calories than what you burn every single day, you're in a calorie surplus and you're going to gain weight. Those are the only 3 outcomes. Okay, there is no outcome, and that's how they all work. Okay, so there is no outcome where you eat in a calorie deficit and don't lose weight. That's not an outcome. That means that you were eating at maintenance or eating surplus. Okay, so don't get that confused. So the main thing I want to hammer home is stop the lies. Okay, this is a misconception you have with yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop telling yourself, oh, my body doesn't work like everybody else's. I get in a calorie deficit and I don't lose weight. You don't get in a calorie deficit, and that's why you're not losing weight. Okay, this is a big mental hurdle you have to get over because you're telling yourself that the correct way to do it is incorrect. Okay, and that's going to cause you to get nowhere. All right, so stop lying to yourself. You have to come to terms with this, and just hopefully I'm hammering this home to you. But I've had this conversation with many people, many times, clients, friends, family members. One of the most notable ones, I was talking to my mom. She was telling me about someone who can't lose weight, and I was like, Mom, she eats like crap. Like, that's why she's not losing weight. And my mom was like, it doesn't work like that for everyone. She doesn't eat very much, and she still can't lose weight. And I had to lay down the law. I was like, Mom, this is a law, okay? I know this for a fact. This is true. This is not debatable. This person is not, I know for a fact, is not tracking their calories, has no idea about anything about nutrition, and that's why she's not losing weight. Oh, well, she doesn't eat anything. If she didn't eat anything, she would lose tons of weight, and she would die if she was truly not eating anything. But that's not the case. She remains overweight. So she remains eating maintenance or surplus calories, okay? Not debatable. Sorry, I keep saying last thing, but last thing I want to touch on this. There are some ailments or ailments that we think we have that cause us not to lose weight. I want to briefly touch on those. Haley, my online client, Haley Holmes, is a great example of this. She has some thyroid issues, and I dove into this with her, and I looked into more of that, and this is how basically any ailment that you think you have, this is basically how it works. So for Haley, basically with her thyroid issue, she just burns less calories on average than like I do, just sitting here, okay? But the laws still apply to her. So if she eats correctly and gets herself in a calorie deficit, her goal is to lose weight. And if she lifts weights and trains her body correctly, the laws still apply, and she's going to lose weight. So I explained that to her, got her over that mental hurdle, and then guess what? She successfully ate in a calorie deficit, hitting her calories and macros, and she weight trained and did cardio consistently, and guess what happened? She lost weight. Was it impossible because of this issue? Oh, it's impossible. No, it's not impossible. Okay? The laws still apply to you. There's just a little, sometimes it's just a little bit harder for someone with this or that, okay? The other main thing is medication. There's a lot of medications we take, and every time I dive into them, the laws still apply. It does not, these medications don't make it so, you get in a calorie deficit, you can't lose weight. This is what happens with most medications. You get a medication that makes you feel like shit, so your activity level goes down, and your hunger level goes up. So now we're moving less, and we're eating more, and we're gaining weight. And you're saying, I can't lose weight because I'm on this medication, it makes it impossible for me to lose weight. No, it doesn't. The laws still apply to you. If you get yourself in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight, but you're not losing weight because you're moving less and you're eating more. That's why we're gaining weight. Okay, so I want to touch on that. So that's the main law I wanted to go over, because that's the one that people think that they're different than everybody else, and you're not. Okay, the law of calorie deficit applies to everybody watching this video, every single person. All right. Let's get into law number 2. Law number 2 is the law of lean body composition. Okay, law number 2, the law of lean body composition. Body composition refers to the proportion of different components that make up an individual's body weight. Simply put, it just means what makes up your weight. Mostly muscle mass and body fat. Okay, so when your goal is to get lean and to get more fit, you want to shift your body composition. Okay, most of us right now, we don't like how we look because we have a high body fat composite. Our weight is made up of high amount of body fat and a low amount of muscle mass. When you shift that and you bring your body fat down and you maintain or gain muscle mass, that's what I refer to as changing your body composition. That's how you start looking more fit and looking leaner in the mirror. Okay, so the law of lean body composition states that if what makes up your body weight is mostly muscle mass and low body fat, you will visibly look lean. Okay, and this is true for everybody. Any person that you know that is lean, that you're like, wow, that girl's really lean. Oh, that guy is really lean. That, so-and-so is really jacked, whatever. The common denominator with all these people that you know that are lean is they have a lower body fat percentage and they have moderate or high muscle mass. If it's someone that's super lean and just jacked out of their mind, they have low body fat, a lot of muscle mass. If it's some girl that you're like, wow, that person's really lean, but she's not like crazy jacked or anything. She's just, someone that was like, oh, that's a really lean female. She has low body fat percentage and she has moderate muscle mass. Okay. And the whole way that you look lean is that your muscle mass shows through your skin. Like you can see your muscles because there is not a whole lot of body fat there. If there's a whole lot of body fat here, you wouldn't see it. Okay, that's why your abs pop out, because there's not a whole lot of body fat there, so your abs pop out. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is that that's the common denominator when you want to look lean. Okay, low body fat percentage, moderate to high muscle mass. And that is true for everybody. So anyone that's lean, that's what's true with their body composition. So if you're watching this right now, your goal is most likely that's most likely your goal. Like 10 out of 10 people that I talk to, they want to look leaner, okay? They want less body fat and maintain or gain muscle mass, and that's what's going to make them look leaner. So that's what their goal is. But this is the important note, okay? And I'm going to get into some good stuff that we need to understand from a weight versus body composition standpoint. Is the important note is being lean is not just a game of weight loss. It's a game of losing body fat. Okay? People kind of take out of context or misinterpret what I'm saying here. When you want to be lean, it's not just a game of losing weight. Does that mean that you don't need to lose weight? No. You are going to lose weight. But losing weight is not the only thing we're focusing on. We want to lose weight by losing body fat. And I'm going to give you two really good examples that are going to hammer this home, okay, from a body composition standpoint. The example is, and we're all going to know this because we all know what all these different types of people, and I'm not trying to call anyone out, and I'm not saying it's better or worse, whatever, but let me just get into it. In terms of body fat composition, weight, and all that, the person, like, just compare somebody who has quote-unquote Ozempic bod versus your favorite female or male fitness model on Instagram, okay? Do these people look any remotely the same? No, they don't, okay? Both people have got themselves in a calorie deficit and lost a lot of weight and have got their body weight down. Ozempic people do not look the same as somebody who is properly trained or whatever. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit. I'm not trying to call out Ozempic or anything, but I just need to hammer this home because you need to understand the importance of body composition. So the person that loses, so the Ozempic person, the person that loses a whole bunch of weight but does not train and has very little muscle mass looks sick. Okay, like literally, like that's usually the main thing is people are like, is that person sick or are they on Ozempic, or like that's like the new thing. Like, I don't want to ask because maybe they're like sick, maybe they have cancer. Again, I'm not here to judge. If you need to lose 30 pounds, you need to lose 30 pounds or whatever. But the person that loses a whole bunch of weight and has very low muscle mass or no muscle mass at all because they don't train, the outcome is they usually look sick, okay? The person that loses a whole bunch of weight but weight trains consistently and now has low muscle or low body fat and moderate to high muscle mass looks freaking jacked, okay? Two polar opposite looks, but like that is the importance of understanding body composition, because these two people have drastically different body compositions. The person that's training and got themselves in a big calorie deficit has moderate to high muscle mass, low body fat, looks freaking jacked. The person that has very low muscle mass and got themselves in a big calorie deficit via Ozempic or really anything, like any way you get yourself in a huge calorie deficit, it's not just Ozempic. If you just go on a crash diet, lose a whole bunch of weight, but you're not weight training, you're going to get the same outcome. We're going to look soft. We're going to, borderline look sick depending on how long you take it versus looking super lean and jacked, okay? Now, I'm not saying one's better than the other. Everyone has different goals, but I'm just outlining the importance of body composition, okay? So how do we correctly lower your body fat percentage? By following law number 1 of being in a calorie deficit, okay? And then how do you correctly maintain and gain muscle mass? By following law number 3, which I'm about to go over, which is strength training. Okay, so everyone's goal, if you want to look lean, strong, athletic in the mirror, you want low body fat, moderate to high muscle mass, and you want to lift weights and learn how to correctly eat for your goals. That's the main thing I'm gonna hammer home here. And then the last thing I want to touch on this is body composition is king. Okay, you can go through all the before and after pictures on my Instagram, on the Train PR Fitness website. All of these great before and after pictures, guess what nobody's asked me? Nobody's looked at Haley's before and after picture or any of these people in there and said, oh my gosh, that person looks amazing. And they've been like, but how much weight did they lose? It's like, do you even care how much weight they lose? They look amazing. No one's been like, oh, they look amazing, but what? They only lost 8 pounds? That's not very impressive. Like, no, it's all about the body composition, how you visibly look in the mirror, okay? And the opposite's true as well. Oh, I lost 30 pounds. You look at somebody, you're like, dude, you look terrible. Like, are you okay? Like, are you sick? The same outcome as well, okay? So just understand body composition is king. You want to aim for low body fat, moderate to high muscle mass. And that is law number 2, is the law of lean body composition. All right, let's get into number 3. Number 4 is short, so stick with me. But law number 3 is the law of strength training builds muscle mass, okay? The fitness law of strength training builds muscle mass states, if you want to build muscle mass, you must consistently lift weights 3+ days per week. Okay, that's a law. That's a third law. If you want to build muscle mass, you must consistently lift weights or strength train 3+ days per week. Everyone you know, and this kind of goes back to the body composition thing, everyone that you know that has muscle definition is because they are currently strength training, or they've had a long history of strength training in the past, and that's why they have built up muscle mass. Okay, so everyone that you know that looks muscular, you now know, oh, their body fat percentage is low, but also they have muscle because they strength train. They lift weights. Okay, most commonly they lift weights. Okay, you can do body weight stuff too, but the way that you build the most muscle mass the quickest is by resistance training, aka weight training. Okay, so if your goal is to get stronger, you must follow law number 3. Okay, we must lift weights. If your goal is to get lean and toned, you must follow law number 3. Okay, lift weights, resistance training, so you can look lean and toned. If your goal is to have muscle mass, you obviously must follow law number 3 in strength training. Okay, you are not going to cardio your way to muscle mass. Okay, cardio burns body fat. It doesn't build muscle mass in the way that you think it builds muscle mass. So if you're like, oh, my legs are jacked because I run a lot, it's like, no, they aren't. Okay, and I used to think this all the time when I was, in college. My legs were super lean. I had very little amount of body fat on my legs, and you could see, you see the small muscles that I had in my legs, but I was not building muscle mass in my legs because I was running. Okay, and this is a quick tip. Like if you're someone that main exercise is cardio, that's totally fine, but that's even more important for you to build to strength train and build muscle mass, because when your lower body's weak, if you're running a whole bunch, you're going to get hurt. Okay, and I've learned that firsthand like many times. Okay, so there's different. So you're not going to cardio your way to muscle. Okay, you're not going to only eat your way to muscle mass either. You can eat really good, and I'm not saying don't take eating seriously. You absolutely is the most important thing. You should take eating seriously, but you're not going to build crazy amount of muscle mass if you don't lift and you still eat correctly and eat a lot of protein. You're going to be healthy. You're going to look good, but you're not going to build a bunch of muscle mass if you're not lifting. Okay, and you must strength train 3+ days per week in order to build and maintain your muscle mass. Okay, there's kind of not a huge wide range, but people get this a little bit confused. Most newbies, if you're a newbie, you probably need to lift 3 days per week minimum to see bigger time results in the mirror via like building muscle. Okay, if you're someone that's well trained and has been lifting for years and years and years, and you have a bunch of muscle mass build up, you very well could lift 2 days per week and just maintain that look. Okay, like if you're someone that's lifted for the past 10 years, and I see this a lot, people on Instagram that have kind of converted, like they were big time bodybuilders, they lifted for 15+ years, and then they got into running, and they start running a bunch, and you're like, that person's jacked because they're running. It's like, that person's jacked from all those years of lifting, and they're holding on to their muscle mass, and they have low body fat because they're eating right, and they're doing cardio like running, and that's why they're jacked. They're not huge and muscular because they do a bunch of cardio, okay? But that's law number 3. So the law of strength training builds muscle mass. So if you want to build muscle mass, it's important for everybody. Everybody needs muscle mass. One, you look better. 2, you're going to be safer. You're not going to hurt yourself because you're not going to hurt yourself while you're running or doing whatever, because your muscles are strong and can take that. And you're not going to hurt yourself just doing random stuff like yard work or whatever, because we're strong. Okay, you want to be strong. Being strong is safe. Okay, and then the last law I want to touch on here. The 4th and final law is the law of consistency, and this is a short one. The law of consistency states, if you are not consistent, then nothing else matters. All right? If you are not consistent with your food, if you are not consistent with with strength training, if you're not consistent with anything that I just talked about, then nothing else matters, because you will not get any results. Okay, and this is probably the biggest law that people mess up. People just cannot be consistent with things. All right, you are not going to consistently lift for 2 weeks and dramatically change how you look in the mirror. You're not going to consistently eat for 2 weeks and dramatically change how you look in the mirror. You're not going to get anywhere in life, in fitness especially, if you're not being consistent. Okay, it's just not going to happen. So you're either dig down and you're consistent with stuff and you get shit done and you get the job done, or you're not consistent with it and it never happens. Because consistency is a must if anything's going to be accomplished. All right. If you have any questions about this, put it in the chat and I'll answer it. But the last thing I want to touch on is this. So the 4 law, I'm going to go over, just state the 4 laws again. Okay. So the 4 laws again were law number 1, the law of the calorie deficit. Law number 2 is the law of lean body composition. Law number 3, the law of strength training builds muscle mass. And law number 4 is the law of consistency. All right. If you understand and follow these laws, you will get to where you want to go on your fitness journey. If you continue to pretend that these laws apply to everyone else but you, you're gonna struggle. Okay, you can keep pretending that these laws don't apply to you. Oh, I can get in a calorie deficit, I can't lose weight. If you want to keep pretending that that's the case, that's fine. You can keep lying to yourself, but you're not going to get to the goals that you want for yourself in fitness. All right. So I did my part in laying these laws out for you. Now you have to do your part of either accepting these laws and understanding that they are facts and they do apply to you, or you can continue to pretend that they don't apply to you and you can keep struggling. Okay. So thanks again for watching this week's league live stream. Again, if you want to join the PR Fitness League this week, we're giving away prizes. We're giving away money every single week through the month of December. We give you a training program. We give you a nutrition program. We show you how to use both. Those are the 2 main things you need in order to get to your fitness goal. You can go to trainprfitness.com, join the league, and we'll get it rolling. We'll send your stuff over and get you going and get you in the league group. Okay. If you have questions, you can DM me directly on Instagram here, and I will catch you guys in the next league live stream. Hope today was helpful. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.